Caesar, who ruled the known world and gave his name to history, a name which meant power and has become a title. Caesar, Kaiser, Tsar. He was the first modern dictator. Much about his life is guesswork, but it is known that the night before he was assassinated, 2,000 years ago, on the Ides of March, 44 BC, he had dinner at the house of a Roman nobleman, Lepidus. A month before this dinner, Caesar had refused, with some reluctance, to be crowned king. For many, he had, at the age of 58, become a threat to liberty. It is known that during the evening, he withdrew to an anteroom, and that when his fellow guests happened to discuss the sort of death one would choose if one had a choice, Caesar broke into the conversation.
A sudden one.
One man at the dinner must have been disturbed at the remark.
A sudden one.
Brutus, a leading conspirator. Did Caesar himself believe that his life would end the next day? If he did so, how would he have reflected in his last remaining hours on that life, on his journey, which has so many modern parallels, down the seductive path to absolute power?
My family is descended from the ancient kings of Rome. Now that my daughter is dead, I have no child of my own body. And though Cleopatra claims that I'm the father of her son, Caesarion, her word is not to be believed. My own childhood was dominated by the tremendous shadow of my uncle, Marius, the great general. He was a fine and considerate commander of troops, but in his last years, when he seized power in Rome, he darkened the city with his acts of savage brutality. When I was a boy, I was concerned with my dress and hair, and I contrived to wear the toga in a manner peculiar to myself. To my uncle Marius, who had married into our family and was not himself of patrician birth, this was just another example of the effeminacy which he expected to find among the upper classes. I noticed in my uncle a quality which can only be called, though in rather an unusual sense, humanity. It was the humanity of blood, bone, courage, a kind of loyalty and endurance, rather than the humanity which we associate with any moral or intellectual eminence. Indeed, from many points of view, Marius could be rightly described as both wicked and stupid. Yet in his simplicity and in his strength, there seemed to me to be something divine. Because of his preeminence in the political life of Rome, I was grateful when Marius began to show an interest in my future. I attributed this change in his manner to the fact that he once saw me give a display of horsemanship for the benefit of my mother and some friends. I had practiced a style which I had been told was in use among certain German tribes who have cavalrymen trained also to fight on foot, able to mount and dismount when their horses are at full gallop. It seems that Marius, quite by accident, witnessed this riding display of mine and was profoundly impressed. I like to remember in Marius what was great rather than what was boorish, brutal and savage. Sometimes I used to wonder whether it would be possible to combine in one character his strength and vehemence and tough efficiency, to together with those wholly different qualities of culture, moderation, and political integrity, which I admired in my mother's family. It still seems to me doubtful whether, in the circumstances of my day, this is